Welcome back everybody to Redstone with Ripper, of course. This is episode 6 and I had a couple of choices for today's episode or this week's episode, but I decided to go with the ever popular 2x2 Piston Door, and this is because it kind of uses a couple of the concepts, especially for the Jeb Door, which we're going to go over. Covers a couple of the concepts we've used in the previous 2 episodes, so I thought it was a, logical follow-up to those episodes. Today we're going to be going over, of course, the basic 2x2 piston door, and as was mentioned, the flush, or as it is otherwise known, the Jeb door. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So today we're going to start simple, and that is, of course, the basic 2x2 piston door. Now, there is not too much to this door. It is a very, very simple door, and anyone, if you've played around with pistons, I'm sure you've been able to make this 2x2 piston door. It is not the hardest thing in the world. We'll walk through it on the pressure plates, and you can see it retracts to these blocks. We can walk through it as such, and it can be activated with a button or a lever or pretty much anything you can think of. So the redstone to this is extremely simple, absolutely extremely simple. I'll see if I can break away some of these blocks. That one's broken already. What we've got under the floor, we've just got some pressure plates over some redstone wire. Of course, these pressure plates power this block, and this block can provide power to any of the other 5 blocks adjacent to it, and that includes this redstone. So this redstone travels and depowers this torch. So we break that so we can see the torch, stand on it, and you can see that torch has turned off. So we'll replace those just because I like it to look nice. So we can also see this redstone torch, in addition, because it's right next to this piston, sticky piston, more specifically, and it's also powering this block, which is also powering this sticky piston. So that is the most redstone efficient way you can possibly do this. However, some people might not like that we have to go up a block for this redstone wire. You may want it more hidden. Oh, we've got cave sounds there. Okay, I'm not in a cave, but all right. And this is the more redstone heavy, but slightly more hidden version, because if we were to hide this under the ground, if we go like this, and we go like this, we can see this turn to a dot. This will not activate. If we close this, this side of the piston door now. So we can see it is not activating, and that's because this block is cutting the wire. You need it to be a non-solid block. So I guess slabs would work there, actually. A half slab would work there if you were to go. I have a half slab over here, I believe. Yep. If you were to go like this, it will work because it's a transparent block, so it's passing through. You can see it works there, but it still looks a bit ugly. So this is the solution to that. This one we can just go bang, bang, bang. Oh, I'll cover it up with these like that. And all we have on top is this bit of glowing redstone dust. So as you can see, this redstone is the same, except it doesn't go up a block here. The torch is 1 block lower, so you can see the comparison. This is 1 block higher. And we also need to insert this piece of redstone dust here, but yeah, it's better because you can actually hide it under the ground as such. So take your pick. One uses literally 1 more redstone, so it's up to you what you want to use, depending on what scenario you want to use it in. And yeah, it's very, very simple to understand. This button, I used a bit of trickery. As I said, I have a slab here, and that's because you need to put it up a block, because the button powers this block. And if we were to have the redstone, for example, down on this block, if we activate this, you can see the button will not reach it because this block will only power the block below it, and the redstone is 1 lower than that. So we have to raise the redstone up. And if, again, as the same as over on this block, if we were to put a block here, we can see that it is actually cut. It will only open one side of the piston door because, as you can see, it's not powering this wire. This wire is not powered. So we have to put the slab there so the redstone current passes through. And as you can see, when we cover up the floor, there is absolutely no difference at all. Can't see through the floor at all. Does exactly the same thing. You can also put a lever here. I'll just grab a lever just to show you it works. I'll try not to break the whole block. it does work. Unfortunately, you can't close the door from the other side, so that's why I use a button preferentially. So that's about all there is to the 2x2 door, guys. It's very, very basic. There's not much to it. Most of the complicated stuff in pairing this door is coming from how you're actually pairing these pistons, but the pistons themselves, not very complicated there. What I wanted to go on to before we moved on to the Jeb door is this setup. Now, this setup is identical to this setup, except that the whole top blocks have been shaved off. And that's because we're going to insert something else in there. If you see this, this is a redstone torch pairing this redstone block, pairing this redstone dust. Now this redstone dust is pairing this piston. If we were to put a sticky piston on that block, this torch would power that sticky piston as well. So what we can actually do is use this to our advantage. So we're going to put a redstone dust on top of both of these blocks, and you can see this setup is exactly the same as the far setup here with the two pistons. But using this setup to our advantage, kind of combining these with three pistons, we can see we can put three pistons on top and we have a 3x2 piston door. So we're going to put block, block, and we're going to fill out our frame as such. Just like that. And we'll put in the top blocks as well. And we can see this acts exactly the same, except it's one block higher. Now, you can actually extend this to 4 pistons if you want. You can whack a piston on top here. Unfortunately, this, I believe, to the best of my knowledge, is the highest you can go while keeping this kind of vertical stack and keeping it all compact and stuff. If you want to go any higher, you have to do some trickery out back. Like, for example, do something like... Oh, see, it's having trouble already. You can actually do that. Actually, you don't need these two, do you? So you can actually do that. That'll work with the 4th piston on top, but it ends up becoming very kind of uncompact and stuff like that. It's a bit messy. So that's really kind of the highest you could go. And I got rid of a piston there. I'll put that back. This is really the highest you can go while keeping it nice and compact. But you can, I guess theoretically, you could go as high as this bit of redstone dust let you really. So do what you will with that. We're going to move on to the flush piston door now. Alright guys, so now we're going to move on to the 2x2 flush piston door, or the Jeb door as it is otherwise known. Most of you should know what this is, but I'll go quickly over it for those who don't. Basically, with these two doors here, you can see how the actual blocks that we're retracting are one block into the wall. Now, sometimes this isn't desirable, and particularly for stuff like secret entrances and whatnot, you really, really, really want the blocks to be flush with the wall. That is, if you build just a solid, say, stone wall, just a solid stone wall, you will not be able to tell at all where the door is. There's no indentation, there's no anything. So, how are we going to achieve this? Well, as you may have kind of guessed, we're going to need more than one piston for this. Using one piston, we can only retract these blocks to here. And that's no use. We can't walk in that door. It's just not possible. So what we actually have to do is retract these blocks to here, and then once they're in this position, we then retract them, well, we can retract them to here. That's possible. That will require a normal double extender, and you're very, very welcome to use that if you want, but a much, much easier way is simply to pull the blocks to the side. So the 4 blocks will be here and here. So that's the way we're going to do it, and that is what is called, it is nicknamed a Jeb door. And what we're going to have to use is something that we learnt, or part of what we learnt in the previous episode, which was double extenders, and also a little bit of what we learnt 2 episodes ago in bud switches. So that's why I thought it would be a good thing to cover this episode, just because it kind of kept with the flow of what we were going over. So what have we got here? You guys should know this. Yep, you're exactly right. It is a double extender setup. I'm going to grab a lever quickly, and we're going to put it here. And as you can see, double extender setup. Very, very simple. We learnt that last episode. We don't need to cover it again. We've got the 0-4-2 setup. I guess that's a good shorthand way of saying it. And we think, wow, what if we turn this on its side? So what do I have here? This is the double extender setup. So we've got 0-4-2. You can see 0-4-2 here, except the second piston is turned on its side, and we think, yes, We've done it. We've solved the Jeb door problem. Here we go. Let's just activate it. And we've got problems already. We can see this block has not moved. It hasn't, has it? So that's going to be a problem. Now, this is just going to wreck our door frame when we retract it. Yep. So it pushes out our door frame. We got to fix that. That's very annoying. It didn't get us a door effect at all. So what is the problem here? Well, this block. That's the problem. We need some way to move this block, and we can see, we're just going to get rid of that for a sec, and this, we can see that when we extend this, the block is not pulled with the sticky piston, and that's a problem. How are we going to fix that? Yep. I think you guys have figured this out by now. We're gonna need a second piston. Second piston right there. That's where this second setup comes in. So have a look at this. This, if you want to build Jeb doors, look at this, memorize this, because this is the exact setup. So what we're going to do, we're going to find a way to power both of these pistons at the same time. So just like that. And we're going to put a we're going to put a 2 repeater to it. As we can see, the 2 repeater is there. And what we will normally have is the 4 here. And then we're going to knock this out just so we have the room. And then the 0 here. So we're just going to hook those up as such. So you can see we've got the same setup. The 2 pistons powering both of these. The repeater, sorry, should I say. The 2 repeater. The 4 repeaters powering this. And the 0 is powering the open space where the piston is going to go. Now, actually, we think about this again. This block is just going to be pulled out and back by this piston. What's going to happen? We're actually going to break that repeater for a sec. We can see we've got the extension. We know from the double piston extender episode that we actually don't need that 4 repeater for the extension. We know that. What happens when we retract this? So we'll do it one step at a time. So this is going to happen first. And we can see when we retract this, because this block actually moves with this piston, we actually don't need the last repeater. So that's very, very handy. It saves us a lot of space. And that is it. That is it. For you guys wondering how to do Jeb doors, this is how you do a Jeb door. That is all the redstone you require. This is literally it. You don't need any other redstone apart from this. This is your problem solved. So basically what this extra piston does here, it means that we don't need to use the 4 repeater in a double extender. So you can think of a Jeb door as almost a double extender, but you don't need the middle repeater in there to pull the block back, because that is already provided by this piston here. So what we're going to do now is actually build one of these live on camera. Alright guys, so here we go. To finish off the episode, we're going to build the Jeb door on camera. We're starting with a door frame, as usual, 2x2 door frame. What we're going to do is place all the pistons for the bottom layer. So we're going to copy the exact design here with the piston. So 1, 2, 3, as over there. 1, 2, 3. So you want your piston that's going to push your block in line with the door frame. Place the block there. Place the block there. Whatever you want your door to be made out of. Then we're going to do dust there and dust here. Now what we're actually going to do, we're actually going to use the blocks above the repeaters to power them. So how we're actually going to power it is from this block here. So this lever here is going to be our powering lever. What we're going to do is extend this to here. And then what we're going to do, 1, 2, 1, 2. Don't worry, it looks messy. We'll clean it up later. There we go. Now, make sure you understand this, guys. Have a good look at it. So what's going on? We can see here that this, well, in this case, this lever is powering this block, and it's also powering, or this, where the piston's going to go, and this 2 repeater. So we've got exactly the same over here, except the input is just here. In fact, I should have a redstone dust there. So as you can see, guys, so this dust is the one powering the block where the piston's going to go. And then here is where the 2 repeater is going to go to the piston. So we're going to activate this, see if it works. And we can see it works very, very well for the bottom of the piston door. Okay guys, so I know what you're thinking now. Rip, we've got the bottom pistons in. We know how to do them to death. How the hell are we going to power those top pistons? Well, we actually have to use a lesson that was learnt, well, 2 episodes ago now. We've already used up all our double extender knowledge in doing all this stuff, but what we need to use now is our knowledge about bud switches, and especially that setup way in the distance. I'll show it here if you can't remember it. Remember when I mentioned this thing called the quasi-connectivity bug or glitch or whatever? It's in the game, it's here to stay. We power this here. This redstone dust is powering this block, air block between it, and then piston. And you can see it is actually budding the piston. It is creating a bud switch, as we can see here. We can use this to our advantage in the Jeb door. The advantage is that if we put a piston here, this redstone will, first it will bud this piston up, and then this piston will activate, and then this piston will say, wait, I'm being updated by this piston, I should extend as well. And we get the effect that we can power 2 pistons with just 1 piece of redstone dust above them. So what do we do now? We just hook this up into here. All we need to do is move this whole layer of redstone exactly 1 block up, and it will work perfectly. So I'll do that quickly now. Okay, and now we just need to insert the pistons in. 1, 2, 1, and just literally copy the bottom pistons. So 1, 2, 3, and block. And this should work perfectly. As you can see, we're using the quasi-connectivity bug. And there we go. That is our Jeb door. Ready to go, ready to be used. There you go. Alright guys, so that just about wraps it up for 2x2 piston doors. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. And I would like to give a quick thanks to all my new subscribers out there, mostly the ones that found me on the Minecraft subreddit. Thank you very much for clicking the link. Thank you for coming along, watching all these videos. I very, very much appreciate it. And I very much appreciate it for you coming and subscribing as well. Makes me very happy to see all these new comments that I can reply to. I love talking to all the guys that watch me. It's my favorite part of doing YouTube, talking to the people that watch my videos. It makes me very happy. So make sure you get down there, leave a comment. And yeah, I've taken many comments into consideration for this series already. And yeah, so don't worry, you guys are making an impact on this series. It's for you, and I'm going to keep it that way. So yeah, make sure you check out the world download. It'll be in the description as always. And apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.